Hey guys, next season for the Houston Astros, you're going to have somebody else different to yell at when somebody gets sent too early or maybe didn't get sent home or enough. But we'll talk about this on this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast that starts now.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Dockstros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett's taking night off, but I appreciate him covering me for me yesterday. I had this organic chemistry exam today, and hopefully I passed. We'll see. But guys, thank you for making us your first listen. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go and subscribe to us. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and we could use your help. The Astros, we bleed orange. We love this team. Win or lose, I know the World Series is about to start, but it feels a little bit different. But speaking of the World Series, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. All right, so this is kind of old news. Gary Pettis, a guy that's been the Astros third base coach for about 10 years. This goes back to when George Springer was still on the team. He's no longer the Astros third base coach. This was, I think this was decided about maybe a week ago or something. I don't think it was just a mutual parting of ways. I don't know if we ever explained what was happening there, but this is somebody that the players really respected. This is a guy that worked with the outfielders. This is somebody that worked on base running skills for the Houston Astros. And even when he was missing because of his health issue, the team really missed his presence on this on the team as a coach. So this was a situation where they needed to replace him pretty quickly. You have a team that is likely going to be contending for a World Series next year. So they needed to fill this spot pretty quickly. I know all eyes are going to be on Alex Bregman. And speaking of which, Roy Oswalt is going out there and saying, hey, the Astros need to re-sign Alex Bregman. You have Paul Wall going out there and saying the Astros need to re-sign Alex Bregman. Everybody's saying the Astros need to re-sign Alex Bregman. So will the Astros actually hear everybody and make that commitment? I think everybody, especially players that you heard Dusty Baker say it, you've heard Oswalt, you've heard a whole bunch of players like Altuve and a couple of the current guys. They say this guy's a leader. This is a guy that is a very big piece of this team. And it goes beyond what he does for defense. This goes beyond what he does at the plate. He is just an all-around guy. And the Astros started winning right when he came into the league. So you can say, well, that just happened to happen. I really think that it was because of what Alex Bregman brought to his team, that swag, that we can do anything, that type of thing. But Gary Pettis is somebody that has been on this Astros team for a while. I know that his son is playing baseball now, and the big story was like Gary Pettis' son is playing against the Houston Astros right now. Then you also had Dusty Baker's son who's playing against the Astros at certain times. But now we can kind of close the doors on those two situations. Gary Pettis' son plays football. Never mind. I take that back. But it was a situation where he was around the Astros a lot. So they closed the door there. So when one door closes, another door opens. And some guy that probably a lot of Astros fans have never heard of is going to actually, it hasn't been official, but it's in the process of becoming official. So Tony Perezchica, the longtime third base coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks, he spent 8 years doing that for Diamondbacks. He also was a infield coach. He also helped with different situations. He's been 14 seasons with the Diamondbacks. He had different roles, including minor league coordinator, fielding coordinator. He also really saw the defense during his tenure there. And he's probably going to come in to work with the Astros defense, especially if they do choose to move on from Alex Bregman. We saw that in Shea Whitcomb in the one game without Alex Bregman. It was an issue. There was a lot of defensive issues. And Jeremy Pena, for some reason, as sure-handed as he's been in the past, for some reason, when it mattered, he also forgot how to field the ball, or was trying to be too pretty with it or too fine with it and just made some mistakes there. So I think what you're going to see is Perezchica come over here and work with the Astros. This is not official yet, but we'll have to see. So David says, is he aggressive at sending people home? Let me have this. So is he aggressive sending guys home? I have no clue. I don't know this stuff, and I don't know if Astros fans will know this. I guess I can ask the Arizona Diamondbacks host if he's heard anything. Not for this show, of course, but definitely something we'll have to look at for a different show. But I know that a lot of criticism has come from Gary Pettis recently about just sending players or not sending players, maybe not being aggressive enough. But this is the Astros kind of turning the page and saying, look, we want to go a different direction. And so we'll see what happens from there. So, of course, Pettis, when he coached the Astros, he worked with the outfielders, base running. So that means that you'll probably see some of the assignments kind of rotated as Perezchica gets here, just because he specifically works with the infield defense, and you need somebody to work with the outfielders. And so this is a situation that is probably going to be in a little bit of flux over for next 2-3 months. But I know that Joe Espada is going to pretty much decide what's going to happen here. But this is the first hire that the Astros have made since Joe Espada has become the manager, outside of Joe Espada. And so we heard that Dusty Baker the other day basically said, hey, all these were AJ Hinch's guys. I didn't get a chance. I only got to pick one guy for my staff. Now Joe Espada gets a chance to pick a guy, and this is who he decided to pick. So I'm not sure if he's had some relationship with him before, or this is just a way to get some different blood into the organization. I know a lot of people will be thinking about the situation. Well, what about the hitting coach? What about the pitching coach? There's a whole bunch of different coaching aspects that you can clear up on. But I think it was Whit Merrifield. He was on a podcast about a couple of weeks ago, and he basically said, you can't blame hitting coaches for teams' failure. These are professional hitters. These guys are getting paid to do what they do. And just because the hitters are having a bad season, it doesn't always fall on the coach. And so we'll see. Now, if somebody has a whole bunch of bad reads at third base and sends the guy home, they keep on getting thrown out, then that has something to do with the coach. But the hitting situation is a whole different ballgame, and it's kind of hard to say. But it's kind of weird that the Astros haven't made any big significant coaching changes basically since AJ Hinch. This is really mostly AJ Hinch's crew. And so we'll see if the fact that the Astros didn't make it out of the first round this year, does that change their plans? Are they going to go ahead and move on to other positions? But the fact that we're not seeing that much movement at the coaching position now means that I don't think you're going to see that much. So, guys, we're going to continue this conversation. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go and check us out. Hey, NFL fans, it's time. It's football time. The Texans, yes, they lost this week, but still, it's football time, and you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get the hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out all the latest stats, view live play-by-play stats, and so much more when you on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Whether it's will the Texans, how many games are Texans going to win this year? How will CJ Stroud do? What's basically how far will the Texans go? Are they going to be going to the Super Bowl this year? All this you could do at FanDuel.com. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked on and go ahead and make your bets today. Okay, guys. So let's go and continue this conversation. I don't want to spend all the time talking about the new third base coach, but it is interesting, like I was saying, it's that this is the first coaching move that the Astros have made since AJ Hinch. I know the World Series is about to start, and you have Jack Flaherty about to start for the Dodgers, and Jack Flaherty is a situation where the Tigers traded him away, and they almost basically threw away their season with that trade. But somehow the Tigers were able to eliminate the Houston Astros. Now Flaherty is about to end up going back to the World Series. The Will Smith curse was finally broken. He's not going to the World Series, but there is a Will Smith on the Dodgers team. So there was a Will Smith in 2020 Dodgers team, and now there's a Will Smith on the 2020 Dodgers or 2024 Dodgers team. So will there be another Will Smith on the World Series winning team? But I know this is Locked on Astros podcast, and I know it's hard to root for either team. I know Brett's saying is, I want both teams to lose. We know that's not going to happen. So who are you rooting for? I mean, you got the team that thinks we cheated. Then we have the other team that thinks we cheated. You have the fans that don't like us versus the fans that don't like us. You have the rivals from the past few seasons of playing playoff baseball. So who are you really rooting for? Are you a Shohei Ohtani fan? Is that who you're rooting for? Are you rooting for Juan Soto to get his World Series so he can be like, you know what? I'm going to just bypass anything the Yankees can do and come to Houston? That's not happening, guys. So I just think that it's just a situation where you don't know who to root for. And Brent Strom is also available, and I don't know what his plans are. Keep in mind that when he left the Astros, he was technically retired at the time, but he went back and worked with the Diamondbacks, and who knows what his future holds, if he's going to come back as some type of advisor for the Astros. But maybe it's time for him to just retire. Maybe at this point of his life, he's like, you know what? I've been doing this for so long. I've won a World Series. I feel good if I just walk away. But I know a lot of people say the Astros pitching coaches, they didn't do a good job this past year. Well, look at how many injuries the Astros had to deal with. They had to deal with 4/5 or 5/5 of their rotation out for a good chunk of the year. And then when you did get everybody back, Justin Verlander was not himself. And then you had Framber Valdez, who was good at sometimes and not good sometimes. Hunter Brown got off to that atrocious start, but then he became the ace that everybody expected him to be. So it's hard to find too much to criticize about the Houston Astros pitching staff. If anybody needs to be looked at, maybe the hitting coaches. But like I said, I don't know if a lot of blame typically gets put on hitting coaches if a team struggles to hit. I mean, sometimes they're scapegoats. Sometimes if a team goes to World Series and just falls off the face of the earth and doesn't even make the playoffs, sometimes big changes need to be done. But that's not what they do in Houston. They make small, minor changes. The fact that, I'll say it again, they have not made any big changes outside of the head coaches, the head managers, since AJ Hinch. That says something. That says something about the people they brought in and that they feel confident about these guys. The analytics thinks that they're good enough, and so who knows? But I don't know what's going to happen there. But we'll see what the end of the day happens. If this guy hasn't been officially been hired yet, so is there anything else on the horizon? I know that Alex Santos is impressing in the Arizona Fall League. This is a guy that's still pretty young. I believe he's 20 or 21 at this point. He's probably got a big future with Houston Astros. He's a New York guy. So the Astros drafted him from the New York Penn League, I believe, if I remember correctly. But he's was named Player of the Week in the Arizona Fall League. He had he struck out 6 in 3 scoreless frames last week. And so he was named the Pitcher of the Week. I know that the Arizona Fall League is just starting, but you have a lot of Astros prospects out there just getting that seasoning before they get a chance with the Houston Astros. And I know that Willard is going to keep on bringing up Lewis Roberts, and it's not that I don't think the Astros should go out and get Lewis Robert. Okay, I think Lewis Robert would be a perfect fit for the Astros, and I've been saying that for years. The Astros just don't have the prospect capital anymore to make a trade like that. And I know, I don't know, well, you can tell me, I'm not looking at it right now, but how many years of control the White Sox have left on him. But it's still going to take a lot. And the White Sox I know that their owner is talking about even selling the team. So they may go into even more of a sell-off than they already did last year. So Lewis Robert is somebody that the Astros could go get. But what would it cost? How much would they have to give up in order to do that? So he still has 6 years. 6 years, how much? Will just help me out with this. But so I think that would be a good deal. But if he has 6 years of control left, if that's right, Willard, that's going to cost a lot. You're talking about a very talented player with 6 years of control. That's going to take a big prospect haul. That's not somebody that's a impending free agent, somebody that is struggling and doesn't have a future. This is a guy that's still young, and he's still got some time left. So Lewis Robert, I'm not saying that he's not a possibility. I just don't see the Astros having the prospect capital to do this. And we're talking about even potentially trading somebody like Framber Valdez. I don't want to do that, or Kyle Tucker, to even bring in some more prospects. So I still don't think they're going to do that. The Astros tend to don't trade away players. They rather test the free agency. But I think we'll see a big thing this year. How do they treat Alex Bregman is what I'm trying to say. Are they going to make an aggressive push to sign him? Or are they going to just basically offer him what did Chapman get? 6 years, $151 million. Are they just going to offer him something to just say, hey, we tried? Or are they going to really give him a really valuable offer? So I don't know what to expect with that situation. And the Bregman effect will have an effect throughout everything else. Because if they sign Bregman, then that possibly takes them out on Tucker, unless they're able to work out some type of deal with Tucker. I'm pretty sure Justin Verlander, I was talking to somebody at work today about this. Pretty sure Justin Verlander's not coming back. I'll be surprised. He would probably have to take a big discount at this point to come back. The Astros they're already close to luxury tax threshold as is. And that's before they even sign some of their guys that they could potentially be leaving. So there's just so many questions. And that's what I love about this podcast is I get to come on here and just talk about this, about y'all all off season. What do y'all want to see? What do y'all want to happen? And yes, Duncan, I do think it'll be hard to imagine the Astros without Bregman, but we probably said the same thing about Correa. I definitely said the same thing about Carlos Gray. I mean, not Carlos Gray, but George Springer. He was my favorite player. And there's still part of me that hates the fact that he's not playing well because I rooted for him. He was a player I looked up to. He was a player that represented the end of the terrible years for the Houston Astros. So, guys, we're going to continue this conversation. If y'all want to talk some more White Sox, so we can talk about that. Talk about who's trying to woo the Astros to sign Bregman. So much to discuss on this Locked On Astros podcast. Hey guys, have you tried PrizePicks? It's awesome. All you have to do is download the PrizePicks app, and you can go ahead when Game 1 in World Series picks. You can say, how many innings would Jack Flaherty pitch, or how many outs will he get, or maybe how many strikeouts he would get, or how many home runs would Juan Soto hit against a team that's not the Houston Astros? And what about Shohei Ohtani? How many home runs, how many stolen bases, what will he do in the series? You can do all this daily at PrizePicks, and you're not just playing against your friends. You're not playing against Brett and I. You're playing against yourself. You get to be the master of your own universe and trying to win some money. So go ahead and check out PrizePicks. It's the best daily fantasy game out there. And just however you do it, download the app, use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, guys, welcome back to the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. You can find Brett at H-Town Willhouse, and you can find the show at Locked On Astros. We appreciate everybody that makes this part of your daily routine. Have you subscribed to us? There's a little red button down there. All you have to do is hit subscribe, and you can go and make our day helping us to get to 15,000 subscribers. And then we're going to try to get to 20,000 and beyond, baby. But you got to start small. And the Astros started small for so many years, and they had so many bad losing seasons. And we suffered through the 100 loss seasons. And then you had George Springer come up as that can't miss prospect. Well, I can't see the Astros without George Springer. The Astros still continue to win. Well, I can't see the Astros without Garrett Cole. I can't see the Astros without Dallas Keuchel. I can't see the Astros without Marwin Gonzalez. I'm exaggerating a little bit on that one, but he was a valuable player in his role. I can't see the Astros without Carlos Correa. I can't see the Astros without Martin Maldonado. But I know that I'm being a little bit facetious in that last one, but there's always been those players that I can't see the Astros without. Alex Bregman seems to be that universal guy that everybody says, you cannot lose this guy. Not only will you hurt your team, but you're going to make some other team a much better team. Is it somebody in your league? Maybe the Orioles, maybe the Yankees, maybe the Mariners, maybe the Red Sox. He's going to make some team a better team. And I know you can say the same thing for Framber Valdez. You can say the same thing for Kyle Tucker. But there's that it factor about Bregman. And when Roy Oswalt, of all people, comes out, and I know that his heart has always been in Houston. He's played for other teams. But when he comes out and say, yeah, the Astros need to sign Bregman, I'll listen to that. When you hear Dusty Baker that has no invested interest in this, he just says, I know that team. I know that player. He is a leader. If something needs to be communicated, I don't even have to tell him. He communicates it. Dusty Baker says the Astros need to bring Alex Bregman back. All these people, you have Jose Altuve championing for him. He doesn't do that. I think he's before said with Carlos Correa, oh, well, I hope he comes back. I hope he's Astro for his entire career. But did he go and probably march down to Jim Crane's office and say, I demand you to re-sign this guy? No. Probably not. Alex Bregman is a different player. And I think that the fact that when the Astros started winning is when Bregman came up. And Tanner Scott is a free agent. Do you think that's out of the Astros' reach? Well, he's a closer. The Astros already have 2 closers who both struggled. So are you going to say, well, Josh Hader, Ryan Pressey, we're bringing you in. We're bringing in Tanner Scott. He's now going to be the closer. No, I don't think especially after last year, I don't think they're going to do that. Tanner Scott is going to want a closing position first. Would I like him as a setup role? Sure. Don't forget about Forrest Whitley. I think after breaking the MLB barrier last year, he's going to get his chance next year. He did everything possibly that he could possibly do this year. He deserves to get a chance next year. He'll be on the roster. Yes, you're losing Neris. Yes, you're losing a couple other pitchers. But I think that the Astros can go out there and get the job done. They may go out and get you're not going to see them spend big bucks on the bullpen. I'm sorry to say that. You might see them go out and get one reliever, but Tanner Scott is a good pitcher. I don't think, the Padres are going to let him go. And I don't think the Astros are going to especially after what happened to Josh Hader this past year. I just don't see that happening. So I think what they're going to do is they're really going to make an investment in what they have, either in Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, or something else. I think that Willard says Clay Holmes would be a nice pickup. Bregman, 5 years, 100,000, 100. No, I'm pretty sure 100 million tops. I'm pretty sure he gets more than that. I'm thinking that's what you were saying. But so I think the Astros are just in a situation where they tried something last year with the whole Josh Hader. And I'm not saying it didn't work, but in playoffs, it didn't work. Maybe it was overuse. Maybe it's putting him in a position that he wasn't used to. But they're not going to go out and put all their eggs in the reliever basket unless they have to. They had to last year. There's no other option. They tried to go get a first baseman. First baseman wasn't out there. They tried to go out and upgrade starting pitching. Starting pitching was not out there. So this was pretty much the big splash that Jim Crane could make last year. I think that Jim Crane is going to have one big splash this year and a couple of minor moves. Now, is that big splash bringing back Alex Bregman? Is that bringing back Pete Alonso, which everybody wants? I want Pete Alonso just like everybody else. I'm just saying I don't think the Astros can afford him, especially after the postseason he had. So we'll see what happens. There's so much to discuss this offseason. That's why you guys stick into Locked On Astros podcast. I listened this morning to some local radio stations. No Astros talk. So the Texans are good. I know the Rockets season's about to start. But if you need your Astros fix, go and tune in to Brett and I all off season. We'll be here for you. We'll talk about every little minor move, like the Astros about to sign a third base coach. We'll talk about all this. But guys, thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go check us out. And Brett and I'll be back tomorrow. I finally finished that organic chemistry exam. Got one more to go, then the final exam. I can't wait for December 4th to come soon enough. Hopefully I pass this class. That's all I have to say. But guys, my name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talk Stros, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go Stros.